characters I would definitely not want for Valentine's. Coming up. Hey everybody, welcome to Book Talks with Miss Thomas. I'm Miss Thomas, and if you like hearing about books, you are in the right place. Now, last year I made a video, literary characters that I would not want for Valentine's, because as most of you know, I'm an English teacher, and so I like to talk about literary characters, in the books that I taught. But in this video, I'm going to talk about characters from the books I've read just recently this year that I just would not want to spend Valentine's Day with, just those really cringy characters. I will need to throw in a few literary characters because, that's part of my life, is those books and those characters and talking about them year after year. So if you haven't seen my characters that I would not want as Valentine's for last year, you might want to check that out. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do. Lets me know you're enjoying my channel and encourages me to keep making videos about books. Okay, are we ready? Let's talk about characters that I would definitely not want to spend Valentine's Day with. I have a list here. Number one, anyone in the novel You Shouldn't Have Come Here. I mean, that is just a super duper cringy novel. I loved it. I'm not proud of that, that I loved it, because it was just so creepy and definitely not a godly Christian book, but a very good, thrilling, creepy book where you just really wonder throughout the book, who is the crazy one? They're all crazy. And I would say any character in that book I would not want to spend Valentine's Day with. I'm not sure I'd survive. But I would have to go with the guy in the book, the guy that has the Airbnb. He would be my number one character from the book that I would definitely not want to spend Valentine's Day with. Number two, literary character Okono. So in the novel Things Fall Apart, which is, I do teach that one. That is written about a tribe in Africa, and the main character, Okono, he has his good qualities. Achebe does say, he wants to present the characters in Africa both good and bad, warts and all. And so you can't entirely hate him, but I would definitely not want to spend Valentine's Day with him because he's always worried about appearing womanly. He's obviously got some kind of issue with women, and he's very unkind to his wives. Even in the book, some of the people respond to his violence toward his wives. So I wouldn't entirely say, well, that's just part of the culture, because there are people in the culture that say, whoa, Okono, you have taken it too far. So I wouldn't want to be Valentine's with Okono because I don't know, if I burn his chili or something, he might beat me up. Number three, the writer in Manor House. He's just so cocky. He's just so arrogant. And as much as I love books, I wouldn't want to spend Valentine's Day with that particular guy because he's always like, well, I'm a writer and I like to ponder things, but really he's just a jerk. So I would not want to spend Valentine's Day with the writer in Manor House. Okay, for the gentlemen out there, I can't forget you. I would definitely not want to spend Valentine's Day with the mother in the novel My Darling Girl, because first of all, she's a mean drunk, and they like to pour the wine on Valentine's Day. I didn't finish that book. That is a DNF for me, so I don't want to be too harsh or too unkind. It seemed like it was getting into demonic, spirit stuff, and so I DNF'd it. And also there was this thing about rats, and I'm not good with mice and rats and bugs, so I DNF'd that one. But definitely the woman, the mother in that book, she seemed like a true kook. Maybe if you're into that, then more power to you, but I wouldn't want to spend any more time with that character than necessary. The husband in Fragile Design by Colleen Coble. He's a real winner. He dies pretty early in the book, so we don't know quite what a jerk he is until after he's gone. But trust me when I tell you, he is not a guy you want for a Valentine. There are some good men in that book, and that is an excellent book. If you haven't read it yet, I recommend it. But definitely wouldn't want to spend any more time than I had to with that particular guy. Aside from the fact that he's married, right? If you haven't seen my rant on the book The Last Housewife, please do, because and sit through the whole thing, because I do get through The Last Housewife. I start talking about these women in the book are looking, I guess, for some kind of daddy figure, some kind of love from a man, and the man convinces them to violently abuse themselves and each other for his love or something or other. I don't know. It was a horrible book. I did finish that one, so I do feel qualified to say it was utter garbage. I was very offended by that book. And the reason I say watch my rant, though, is because the more I think about the book, the angrier I get, the more I say, you know what? If you really want love from a man, turn to Jesus. Because you want to see love from a man, you don't have to brutalize yourself. He was brutalized on the cross. So there's a flip there, right? You don't have to brutalize yourself. There's a God out there who loves you so much. He did that so that you wouldn't have to. Nobody in The Last Housewife would I ever want to spend any time with. All of the men in that book, horrible, horrible, horrible. And I wouldn't even consider even accepting a paper Valentine from one of them. Boo to The Last Housewife. The local guy in The Dry, he just came across as such a hillbilly. I just, ew. Everything about him. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they put poop in the guy's car and just, ew. So I wouldn't want anything to do with the local guys in the book The Dry. As much as I do love the Dry as a book and the whole series, I highly recommend from Jane Harper. Anything she's written has been great, but I would not want anything to do with the local guys in that book. The last guy from my recent reads that I would definitely not want as a Valentine is the scientist in Lessons in Chemistry, because he's just a horrible, horrible man. He's a rapist and a pig, and he cannot accept that a woman could possibly be smarter than him. So Lessons in Chemistry, I liked that book. I recommended it to some people who didn't, so I have to be completely honest. It's not a Christian book either, but I would not want anything to do with the guy in that book. The woman who's telling the story, though, she does dole out just desserts for quite a few characters in that book, so I still stand by my recommendation of Lessons in Chemistry. And finally, if you haven't seen my video from last year, I do want to say I stand by my top 2 would not want for Valentines. They are literary characters. If you have been blessed or cursed with me as an English teacher, I'm sure you know that the one man I absolutely would not want to spend a waking moment with is Victor Frankenstein. I just think he's the real monster in Frankenstein. I love to rag on Victor Frankenstein. He's just such an arrogant little piece of something or other. I would not want to spend any time with Victor Frankenstein, but definitely not on Valentine's Day because, well, he's just so creepy. And the woman for the gentleman, it's in my last video, but I still stand behind my choice. I would not want to spend Valentine's Day with Lady Macbeth. And if you want to know why, check out that video. Have a happy Valentine's Day, whether you're, with the love of your life or whether you're single. You can always find a real romance in a book. You can always have great company and just a great evening with a good book. So don't sweat it if you're alone this Valentine's Day. Find yourself a good book and buy your own chocolate. Bye for now.